Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for standing by for the second quarter 2021 earnings conference call for Huya Inc. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Today's conference call is being recorded. I will now turn the call over to Ms. Dana Cheng, Company Investor Relations. Please go ahead.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Huya's 2021 second quarter earnings conference call. The company's financial and operational results were issued earlier today and are posted online. You can also view the earnings press release by visiting the IR website at ir.huya.com. A replay of the call will be available on the IR website in a few hours. Participants on today's call will be Mr. Rongjie Dong, Chief Executive Officer of Huya, and Ms. Catherine Liu, Chief Financial Officer. Management will begin with prepared remarks, and the call will conclude with a Q&A session. Before we continue, please note that today's discussion will contain forward-looking statements made under the safe harbor provisions of the U.S. Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995. Forward-looking statements involve inherent risks and uncertainties. As such, the company's results may be materially different from the views expressed today. Further information regarding these and other risks and uncertainties is included in the company's prospectus and other public filings as well as the U.S. SEC. The company does not assume any obligation to update any forward-looking statements except as required under applicable laws. Please also note that Huya's earnings press release and this conference call include discussions of unaudited GAAP financial information, as well as unaudited non-GAAP financial measures. Huya's press release contains a reconciliation of the unaudited non-GAAP measures to the unaudited most directly comparable GAAP measures. I will now turn the call over to our CEO, Mr. Rongjie Dong. Please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our conference call today. In the second quarter, we amplified our efforts to enrich content offerings and attract users, which drove steady top-line growth along with mobile user base expansion. To illustrate, total net revenues for Q2 increased to approximately RMB 3 billion, up 10% year-over-year and 14% quarter-over-quarter. Huya Live mobile MAUs reached 77.6 million in the quarter, up slightly year-over-year and quarter-over-quarter, while the next month's retention rate for our Huya Live app remained stable at over 70%. In this quarter, mobile users continued to contribute to over 85% of Huya Live's live streaming revenues. With our relentless commitment to providing users and broadcasters with a better experience, we have always been deepening our technology advanced efforts and focused on product optimization. In late May, we upgraded our Huya Live app to the version 9.0, which introduced new functions such as multi-screen simultaneous viewing, and real-time highlight editing, 高能剪辑实时内容. For example, in the latest version, a user has access to a multi-screen viewing panel to watch different top broadcasters at the same time. Besides this, leveraging Huya's AI capabilities, the new version can now automatically identify the highlight momentum of a streaming session and generate video clips. making video production easier and more efficient. In the second quarter, average MAUs who watch videos on our platform increased to approximately 30 million. Our open platform for third-party applications developers also continued to expand in the second quarter. By the end of June, more than 250 tools had been developed on our open platform, and those tools were used by over 740,000 broadcasters. On a quarter-over-quarter basis, the daily active broadcasters who used third-party applications on our open platform grew more than 60%. Moving on to our collaboration with Tencent. In the second quarter, average MAUs who watched Huya live streaming content across Tencent's platforms, which are not counted in our reported MAUs, were around 23 million, nearly doubling year-over-year. Notably, our live streaming content related to the QQ Celebrity All-Star Tournament attracted a large number of users for viewing on QQ Mobile. Lastly, I would like to provide more context around our strategies after the merger termination with Douyu we announced last month. According to the announcement posted by the State Administration for Market Regulation of the People's Republic of China on July 10, 2021, the proposed merger between Huya and Douyu was prohibited following SAMR's antitrust review. We fully respect and will abide by the SAMR decision, and will comply with all regulatory requirements and conduct our businesses in accordance with the applicable laws and regulations. As we remain committed to further expanding our user base and strengthening our leading position in the game live streaming market, we are focused on effectively implementing our growth strategy. Huya will continue its investments in content, including acquiring, cultivating, and maintaining quality broadcasters, obtaining broadcasting rights for popular esports tournaments, and developing attractive self-generated content. Meanwhile, we will endeavor to advance product optimization and deliver a superior user experience. We also expect to further deepen our cooperation with Tencent. We are confident that our capabilities in fostering and retaining streaming talents, enriching and producing quality content, as well as our expertise in technology and product innovations, will continue to underpin Huya's core competitiveness in the game live streaming industry. With that, I will now turn the call over to our CFO, Catherine, to share her insights on the operating metrics and financial details. Catherine, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Dong, and hello, everyone. Following Mr. Dong's remarks, I will start from the updates on content enrichment and diversification. In the second quarter, we broadcasted 122 third-party esports tournaments, among which the top tournaments included LPL Spring and Summer, KPL Spring, LOL Mid-Season Invitational, and PUBG Champions League Spring. Total viewership for these tournaments reached around 673 million in the quarter. On the front of our self-produced content, we organized 45 esports tournaments and entertainment shows and generated total viewership of 116 million. In particular, our self-branded tournament, the 6th Huya Mobile Game Arena, 第6届 Huya 手游电竞大赛 or HMA, has hit outstanding viewership in the quarter, covering 14 popular mobile games, including HOK, CFM, Battle of Balls, and CODM. HMA is now a leading comprehensive mobile game tournament in China. Additionally, following the traction from LPL, we produced a commentary show, Huya Game Watch Room, Huya 观赛场, to provide professional gameplay analysis for game lovers. The show went viral during the LPL season and became a major alternative channel for LPL fans to watch the game. In terms of entertainment PGC shows, Huya Kung Fu Carnival Season 4, Huya 功夫嘉年华第4季, a mixed martial arts competition joined by Huya's outdoor broadcasters and celebrities, was the leading example of the season. Besides this, in June, we also introduced God Player 好虎的密室, a live action role-playing show to capture the younger generation's growing interest in such categories. Since we took the initiatives to introduce more video content last year, there has been a clear trend of development and diversification on our platform, particularly in the sectors such as food video, animation video, and fun moment sharing videos. Moving on to our overseas business, in June, the overseas MAU picked up to close to 27 million, mainly driven by local esports events. As we discussed previously, we have been focusing on monetization-driven growth. Our overseas revenues increased by approximately 200% year-over-year, and then the contribution from overseas revenue is also climbing up, with the margin drag from overseas business declining. Next, I will walk you through our financial highlights. In the second quarter, our total net revenues grew by 10% year-over-year to approximately RMB 3 billion. Our live streaming revenues were close to RMB 2.6 billion in the quarter, up slightly from the same period last year. The number of paying users for Huya Live in the second quarter came in at 5.6 million, lower than the same period last year, mainly due to the pandemic lockdown last year, setting a higher base. Advertising and other revenues increased by 190% year-over-year to almost RMB 383 million in the second quarter. On second quarter profitability, our non-GAAP gross profit was RMB 594 million, and non-GAAP gross margin was 20.1%. Our non-GAAP operating profit was RMB 249 million, and non-GAAP operating margin was 8.4%. Our non-GAAP net profit was RMB 250 million, and our non-GAAP net margin was 8.4%. Now moving on to our financial details. Unless otherwise specified, all the growth rates are on year-over-year terms. Cost of revenues increased by 12.2% to RMB 2.4 billion for the second quarter, primarily attributable to the increase in revenue sharing fees and content costs. Revenue sharing fees and content costs increased by 21.2% to RMB 2 billion for the second quarter, primarily due to the increase in revenue sharing fees and the increase in spending in esports content and on content creators. Bandwidth cost decreased by 35.3% to RMB 171 million for the second quarter, primarily due to improved bandwidth cost management and continued technology enhancement rounds. Gross profit increased by 1.1% to RMB 581 million for the second quarter, and gross margin was 19.6% for the second quarter. Research and development expenses increased by 15.6% to RMB 208 million for the second quarter, mainly attributable to increased personnel-related expenses. Sales and marketing expenses increased by 45.9% to RMB 167 million for the second quarter, primarily attributable to increased marketing expenses to promote the company's content, products, services, and brand name. General and administrative expenses decreased by 48.5% to RMB 72 million for the second quarter, mainly due to lower share-based compensation expenses. Operating income increased by 0.3% to RMB 182 million for the second quarter, and operating margin was 6.1% for the second quarter. Interest and short-term investments income was RMB 58 million for the second quarter, compared with RMB 78 million for the same period of 2020, primarily attributable to the decreased interest rates. Income tax expenses increased by 13.7% to RMB 58 million for the second quarter. Net income attributable to Huya Inc. for the second quarter was RMB 186 million, compared with RMB 207 million for the same period of 2020. Non-GAAP net income attributable to Huya Inc. for the second quarter, which excludes share-based compensation expenses, gain on fair value change of investments and equity investees' investments, and equity investees' partial disposal of its investment, net of income taxes, was RMB 250 million, compared with RMB 331 million for the same period of 2020. Diluted net income per ADS was RMB 0.77 for the second quarter, and non-GAAP diluted net income per ADS was RMB 1.04 for the second quarter. As of June 30, 2021, we had cash and cash equivalents, short-term deposits, and short-term investments of RMB 10.7 billion, compared with RMB 10.6 billion as of March 31, 2021. The increase was primarily due to net cash provided by operating activities of RMB 174 million for the second quarter. With that, I would now like to open the call to your questions.
Certainly. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. If you wish to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad and please wait for your name to be announced. If you wish to cancel your request, you can press the pound or hash key. Once again, it is star 1 to ask a question. For the benefit of all participants on today's call, if you wish to ask your question to the management in Chinese, please immediately repeat your question in English. Once again, it is star 1 to ask a question. We have the first question coming from the line of Thomas Chong from Jefferies. Please go ahead.
晚上好，谢谢管理层接受我的提问。我有2个问题。第一个呢，想先问一下，就是我们在内容战略，在下半年的话呢，可以跟大家分享一下，我们大概会投入的spending 大概会是多少？然后的话呢，再想看一下，就是我们在下半年的话， 在不同的 operating metrics 比方说在 MAU paying user 还有 ARPU 的趋势大概会是怎么样？Thanks management for taking my questions. I have 2 questions. The first question is about our content strategies. Can management comment about our thoughts in the second half as well as the spending that we are looking at? And my second question is about our key operating metrics in terms of the MAU paying users as well as ARPU. How should we think about the trend as we come into the second half? Thank you.
好啊，我来回答第一个问题，就是Huya接下来的内容战略。这个其实是这样的，就是我们今年其实管理层其实做了2个版本的这个规划，一个版本是对如果合并这个被通过和不通过，所以就是整体上来说，我认为Huya目前其实一直按照就是说之前呢就是这个计划往前在推动，所以呢我认为起码在今年我们的整个的这个战略，包括内容战略和海外战略等等来说，我们应该不会有太大的调整。对，这是第一个。第二个的话，当然我也理解就是因为就是说这个比如说合并案子这个已经 close 掉了。对，所以我们整体认为就是我们相比这个之前，我们可能下半年的这个内容投入上会适度的增加，但整体上我们认为应该是还是跟这个之前的预期区别不是特别大。
All right, I will translate for Mr. Zhong regarding your first question on content strategy. So actually, since the beginning of this year, our management made 2 versions of the strategic plans for this year in different scenarios, whether the summer will pass or not pass the due. Up until we received the notification of summer to prohibit the merger deal, we still stick to the original plan in terms of a content strategy. So now that we have heard the news from summer about prohibiting the merger deal between Huya and Zhouyu, there won't be major adjustments to the strategy, especially the content strategy. And now that the competitive landscape compared with before might be a little bit changed given summer prohibited the due. So there might be a certain degree of growth for the content investments from our perspective. And Catherine will take your second question.
And regarding your MAU questions, because we will continue to invest in our content and broadcasters in the second half. So in the second half, we do expect that our MAUs will continue to grow and probably reaccelerate the growth rate for mobile MAUs. And I think, in the second half, our main focus is still trying to grow our mobile MAUs. And then this is still probably our key goal in the second half. And next.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have our next question. This is coming from the line of Lei Zhang from Bank of America Securities. Please go ahead.
嗨，管理层晚上好，谢谢接受我的提问。然后主要有2个问题，一个是想向董总请教一下，就是我们不能跟斗鱼合并之后，就是未来Huya自己的一个就是战略规划是怎样的，不知道有什么点可以分享。第二个就是想知道一下，就是我们整体跟腾讯的这个合作方面有没有一些新的东西可以给大家就是分享一下呢？谢谢，主要就是这2个问题，我自己翻译一下。Thanks management for taking my question. 2 questions here. First, can you share with us the business strategy post the close of merger with Douyu? Secondly, any more color on the integration with Tencent recently? Thank you.
好的，对，就是说合并这个终止之后，对，就是我们整体上来说，第一个就是 感谢，就是大家也看到在合并的公告里面，其实有提到了就是这个虎牙跟斗鱼的市场份额。所以呢，整体上我觉得是这样的。第一个的话呢，其实在我们谈这个合并案子这个过程中，然后这个虎牙的这个整体上来说，我们认为这个对我们的这个对市场份额增长的其实是不错的。所以这是第一个，然后第二个的话呢，整体上来说，我们觉得我们还是会按照就是现有的这个既定的这个战略往前在推动。我们整体认为就是说，对，就是这个市场份额的相对的增长，我们其实是比较有信心。对，这是第一个。然后第二个的话呢，就是我们整体认为从目前的维度来说的话，我们可能接下来在这个海外上面，我们应该会这个持续的投入，因为我们目前看到海外的就是说整个生态和营收其实发展的这个状况都比较好。对，这是第一个。然后第二个的话呢，就是我们可能接下来确实会在这个视频上面这个做更多的事情。对。然后关于这个腾讯合作的事情，我可能这个先提一句啊，就是我们现在确实在跟腾讯沟通说，能不能有一些这个新的，对吧？就是比较特殊的这样的合作的方式，能够在这个虎牙和腾讯之间，对，能够展开。
All right, I will translate for Mr. Dong. Regarding your first question for the post-termination of the merger impact on the strategic changes, actually there is not much to be changed for the strategic planning of Huya, and we will stick to the original plan to formulate our roadmap for the year and going forward. And we have confidence to strengthen our leadership position going forward. And secondly, I would like to mention that we do have confidence in the overseas market, especially for those countries and regions who performed better in building up the content ecosystem and a business model. And we feel they are going to have a brighter future, and we do have confidence in that. For your second question regarding the cooperation with Tencent, we are actually in close conversation with Tencent regarding to carry out more innovative, cooperative working methods and more way to play out the business, to play out the operational models of the collaboration. So more things to be carried out going forward with Tencent. I hope that answers your question, and that's it.
And then to add, regarding to the cooperation with Tencent, we have continued to strengthen our cooperation with Tencent in various fronts, and we believe that in the future there would be more cooperation between us and Tencent. And we will update investors if we have some major updates on this front. And I hope this answers your question. And next.
Okay, thank you. Very helpful.
We have the next question. This is coming from the line of Yuan Zhang from China Renaissance. Please go ahead.
管理层晚上好，我这边也有2个问题想请教一下。第一是想追问一下咱们海外业务，刚刚您也提到，就咱们 MAU 也增长的不错，然后今年也会持续投入，可不可以再分享一下，就咱们未来在比如说用户获取、内容建设，然后比如说变现端有没有一些新的考虑？然后第2个问题是关于咱们刚刚提到那个视频内容的，可不可以因为过去几个季度也谈的比较多嘛，可不可以说一下视频内容对于咱们获客、活跃、留存的一些帮助吧？然后我自己翻译一下。Thanks for taking my question. I have 2 questions. The first is regarding overseas business. You mentioned the overseas MAU has reached 27 million, and also this year we will ramp up the investment overseas. Could you share more color in terms of the user acquisition, content build up, and monetization? And secondly, is on the video content. I think this is well discussed in the past few quarters. Can you share some color in terms of how the video content help the user acquisition, the engagement, and the retention? Thank you.
Thank you. Regarding our overseas business, we have seen a pretty good progress as we have been emphasizing on monetization in the overseas market. We have seen significant results. In the second quarter, our overseas revenues actually increased by approximately 200% year over year, and also the operating loss has also been narrowed down. So we are pretty confident in our overseas business, and we do expect that the overseas business will contribute even much more significant revenue contribution to us in the next year. And in terms of our video business, we have been developing sort of a new video content, and then in the second quarter we also noticed that our video content users have been increasing, and as Mr. Dong just mentioned, in the second quarter, average MAUs who watch video on our platform actually increased to approximately 30 million. And in the second half, we do consider to also launching a new app specifically for our video product. Hope this answers your question.
视频可能稍微补充一句是这样的，就我之前有提到过，说这个在视频直播中间有一个介于两者之间的一个状态，就我们内部叫做轮播。然后我们从内部数据来看的话，轮播的这个数据增长是非常快的，所以就是我整体认为，就是从直播平台维度来说，我们一种类似直播的方式来播视频，反正对，就是现在目前来看起来效果好像还可以。
All right. After translation, and just to provide you more colors on our video business, Mr. Dong mentioned before there is a certain form of a video business on Huya's platform that is laying in between the traditional videos and the streaming sessions in the form of video carousel, or in other words, ongoing replay of streaming. And from the statistics that we have, I think the growth rate of such category are quite high. And we believe in the form of doing streaming business, we can actually make our video business prosper in the future. And as of now, we think the results that we see in the video business or the video corridor business is actually quite satisfying.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have the next question from Richie Sun from HSBC. Please go ahead.
谢谢管理层接受我的提问我有两个问题有一个问题是关于游戏视频这块的，想追问一下游戏视频我们对变现的方式的想法，还有现在的进展，是不是主要还是来自于广告还有现在有什么地方这个视频内容还是要改善的然后第二个问题想问一下监管方面的问题，就最近看到行业的监管力度加强，请问管理层可以分享你们对直播还有游戏行业的监管，还有网络安全和数据隐私的监管对我们平台的影响例如在财务方面会有什么特别的影响吗？我们会加大投入去满足这些加强的监管吗I will translate the questions myself. So first question is about game video. Can management discuss the potential monetization model and also progress for of monetization for game video? And what are the areas that we need to improve
further for game video content? And the second question is on regulation. We see the heightened regulation risk on the industry. Can management discuss how live streaming regulation, online games, as well as cybersecurity and data privacy regulations, the impact on the platform, and especially on the profit and loss side or from these regulations? And are we going to incur more costs to fulfill these regulations? Thank you.
对视频业务，从虎牙目前为例来说，我们这个阶段的重心还是在研究一下说，如何把视频业务跟直播业务有机的融合，就如何使视频业务有一个比较好的这种方式能够做大。所以呢，从目前为例来说，这个视频的商业模式确实就是说，我觉得还是属于比较早期。当然，我们整体认为就是广告应该是视频业务一个比较重要的营收模式。对，这是。
For your first question regarding the video business monetization method, currently the top priority for the company regarding the video business is to consider how to better integrate the live streaming business with the video business, and just so that the video business can be expanded. So probably currently it's a little bit too early to talk about the business model. But from what we can see right now, for the video business, advertising is probably the top choice for the monetization method.
Okay, and for your second question of the recent regulatory changes, we do believe that the recent regulatory changes, I think, will help the industry in the long term, and then we as a company will definitely abide for all the regulatory changes or guidance. And then so far, I think we have received and also are expecting some of the probably the details of the guidelines to come out, and so we will update with investors if we saw some of the detailed guidelines for potential regulatory guidelines. And hope this answers your question. And next.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have the next question. This is coming from Tian Hou from TH Capital. Please go ahead.
Yes. Good evening, management. Two small 有两个小的问题，三个小问题。一个是下半年我们平台上会有哪些比较大的游戏释放出来，游戏内容释放出来。第二个呢，就是现在学生呢放假，因为也没有校外的辅导课，然后又有这个疫情的大家也不让出去玩，所以你们会不会看到一些在这个平台上的这个人数啊、参与度啊有提高？第三个就是关于你们的那个云游戏，不知道现在发展到什么程度，未来有什么打算？那我翻译一下。The first question is about what management see the second half about the game content. Are there any major content going to come out? The second one is, on the platform, what does management see the uses and the activity level as the students, has less schoolwork and also not much place to go to travel? The third one is regarding the cloud game. Company has been developing cloud game for a while, so can management share some color about the progress and the plan for the future? Thank you.
好啊，因为这个现在是暑假，所以我们能够看到这个暑假正常的时候，用户就会相比之前是要有提升的。我们目前暂时没有看到这个其他更多的因素。对，这是第一个。然后第二个的话呢，就是这个 今年下半年这个确实有可能会有这个比较重要的这个2个新的手游会发布，一个比如说 DNF 的手游和英雄联盟的手游。对，就是虎牙肯定是希望说这2款手游能够尽快的发布。对，因为虎牙其实一直以来在手游直播上面一直是我们的特别擅长的领域。对，然后这个其实英雄联盟手游我们在年初已经开始已经做了这个主播的招募，然后目前也做了一些相应的赛事的一些准备。然后这个 DNF 手游我们其实从去年已经开始做准备了。对，所以我们也是一直期待着这个2个游戏能够尽快的上线吧。对。
So for your first question regarding the summer, usually from the seasonality that we have observed so far, during the summer school holidays, there will be a surging growth of users. Since it's coming to the school holidays in the summer again, we are seeing a growth of the users as well. But regarding the other factors that you mentioned, we haven't really seen much. And for your second question regarding the new game titles, and we have been hoping that the 2 top potential blockbuster games, the DNF Mobile and League of Legends Mobile, can be released soon. Because Huya is quite excelled at promoting the mobile games and make sure that promoting the mobile games on our live streaming platform can be a strength and maintain our leading positions. Actually, the preparation for those 2 games has already been initiated. For example, for League of Legends Mobile, it's been started in the since the beginning of 2021, and for DNF Mobile, we have been preparing for the launch of that since last year. So we were really hoping that those 2 potential blockbuster games can be launched in the second half.
And regarding
about the cloud game.
Yes, regarding to your question about the cloud game. Actually, since we launched our cloud game platform, Huya, we have been covering over 200 games right now, and then we have been improving our products since the launch. And currently, we believe that our product, in terms of technology and then the user friendliness, is in the sort of the industry leading level. And currently we are still focusing on trying to reduce the bandwidth cost per user and then and increase our MAUs and DAUs. Actually, since Huya launched, the users growth is pretty fast. So currently our focus is still on growing users, improving products, and then trying to reduce the bandwidth cost for each user. And then probably next year we will consider trying to do some commercialization for the cloud game, but currently it's still at early stage. Hope this answers your question. And next?
Yes.
Thank you. We have the next question from Vincent Yu from Needham & Company. Please go ahead.
谢谢管理层呢接受我的提问那我也有2个问题，第一个就是关于我们就是这个就是在这个合并这个取消之后，那我们的这个现金仓位也是现金位置也比较多，那我们是不是之后会用这现金在海外以及这个游戏这上下游做更多的投资，或者说甚至是并购呢？然后我第2个问题是关于这个，因为也是并购之后取消之后产生的影响，就是说未来我们是不是预期会在这个赛事版权的争夺和这个购买方面会看到可能新一波的这个争夺吧，就是那个可能是不是会看到这方面的成本会稍微更高一点，那想听听管理层的看法。 那我这个翻译一下。Thanks management for taking my question. My first question is about the investment plans. So now the merger deal has been called off. Will the company now look to acquire the other companies within like other verticals or overseas, considering we have a big cash balance? My second question is, will we see increase in content costs related to purchase of tournaments broadcasting rights after this merger has been called off? Thank you.
Regarding to your first question, in addition to our operational cash needs, i.e., continue to invest in content and broadcasters, we will consider the investments or potential acquisition along our value chain, both domestically or in the overseas market. But currently, we haven't really done any significant investments or acquisition yet. And then regarding to your second question, I will refer to Mr. Dong.
对这个擅自版权，这个我们整体认为它在整个的电竞板块里面确实很重要。对，大家也知道，明年其实亚运会这个电竞已经作为正式的这个项目，这是第一个。但是呢，从虎牙维度来说，你看像类似 IPL， 其实我们已经拿下了这个5年的这个一个对独家的一个合同，所以整体认为就是未来的赛事版权应该是这个温和上升。
Regarding your question on the esports tournaments broadcasting rights, I think from our perspective, acquiring the broadcasting rights of those tournaments is quite important in the sector of esports. As we all know that esports has become a professional game that has been and it is also included in the Asian Games for next year. And as we announced it before, we have already got the exclusive broadcasting rights of LPL and its related game broadcasting rights. So going forward, we believe Huya will continue the acquisition of broadcasting rights in a mild way.
Thank you.
Thank you. As there are no further questions, I would like to hand the conference back to the company for any ending remarks.
Thank you all for joining our conference call today. If you have further questions, feel free to contact ir@huya.com, and we look forward to speaking with you in the next quarter. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our conference call for today. Thank you all for your participation. You may disconnect your lines now.